I'm here today to speak to you. I don't have anything written or prepared because I'm speaking from my heart, because there are so many things systematically here in Stafford, systematically here in Virginia, that need to be changed. We should not be standing here in the year of 2020 speaking about changing the names of streets who are named after those who led the Confederacy. You, each and every one of you, should be appalled as the black people in the community are appalled to have to drive on streets named after the Confederate leaders. You should be appalled and disgusted just as we are to see signs of Confederate flags waving, especially since you took an oath here stating that you love the flag of the nation of the United States of America. That's not our flag. Those people who were leaders in the Confederacy are not our heroes. I had a neighbor across the street from me who had a Confederate flag in his garage. It's no longer there because he removed it because he realized how ignorant he was in displaying it and how much it hurt us as neighbors to have to see it every time he opened up his garage, and that's just a garage. Every one of these Confederate monuments, every one of these Confederate named streets were put there for a purpose. And they were put there in order to intimidate black people, in order to make us try to remember or have to remember those times when we were enslaved and when our forefathers were enslaved. Those representations of the evilness of our nation should not be here in Stafford if we're going forward in the processes that would make Stafford a safe place for our kids to live in.
Now, I'm not here to ask about taking down the flag that we see from 95. I know it's on a person's personal property. If Stafford County doesn't realize the negative impact that flag has had on business or that it's had on many of its citizens, nothing I say here today will change that. But what I will say is that we begin to look at what's going on around our nation. I will say that the flag, street names we see throughout Stafford County like Confederate Way, Plantation Lane, etc., are triggers that evoke feelings of anger, sadness, hurt, and anguish in the hurts of many African Americans in Stafford County, the same way the Nazi symbol invokes feelings of hurt and anger for Jewish people. So while the Holocaust was 5 years long and affected 6 million people, American slavery was 244 years long and affected nearly twice that number. I simply ask that the board considers the hurt and the anguish and the pain that its residents encounter and endure when they see certain symbols, when they see certain street names, and that we think about what counties like Alexandria and Arlington did when they changed the portion of Jefferson Davis Highway that went through their counties to Richmond Highway. And they did it at the state level, and I ask that our board continues to be progressive, to be forward-thinking, and to lead in this area by considering how your citizens do feel when they see certain symbols, read certain words throughout our county.
So I look at where we are today. You know, Stafford is probably the most prosperous county in Virginia. If not, it's on its way there. And it's a very diversified county. I love being part of this county, but it does bother me all the time that people come in to visit, whether they're coming from the north or south, and pass that flag. You know, my daughter, Dad, did you see that big Confederate flag out there? I said, yeah, and there's things that we're working on. So I guess my point is this. We've come a long ways. And there have been a lot of prosperous things, like I just said, that's going on. And that flag does not represent who we are. It does not represent Virginia, and it particularly does not represent Stafford. So I don't know what you can do about it, but I just hope favorable consideration be given to taking that down and let us be who we really are. There's a mantra here that reads, Virginia is for lovers, but when you see that flag, it should read, Virginia loves to hate. Thank you.
If you have the ability to remove or stop the Muslim community from getting a cemetery because it might hurt your property value, you might have the power to make sure that we rename the streets and we take down the Confederate flags and we take down any symbols that resemble hate here in Stafford County.
The Confederate flag does not symbolize America, the state of Virginia, and nor does it symbolize Stafford. The Confederate flag is a symbol of hate, treason, white supremacy, and overall bigotry. The Confederate flag was designed to represent a divided nation. It was flown during the Civil War when 11 states broke from the nation to defend the practice of slavery. The Confederate flag and the individuals who fly it today are one of the biggest oxymorons in American society. They fly it as a symbol of patriotism and nationalistic ideals, when in reality it is an emblem of individuals who believe the unjust treatment of black and brown people. Imagine how it feels as a young black man opening my phone to see men and women of my color being brutalized and murdered in the street by individuals who are sworn to protect and serve my community. Imagine how it feels to ride down the street and see an enormous flag that screams, "Remember the decades of physical and mental torment we put your ancestors through." Imagine having to hesitate to call the police because you don't know whether or not the situation could escalate to the end of your life. Imagine having to ride on the streets that adulate and memorialize individuals who were pro-slavery. All of these things are detrimental to the emotional, but also mental health of black and brown people in your city. I urge you to take down this flag and rename this highway.